What was first just a dream has become a frightening reality.
For over a decade, Star Wars has felt stale, bleak, and frankly absurd. In 2012, Disney purchased Lucasfilm, and it seemingly ignited the casual fans' love for Star Wars once again. By 2017, they released the apparent continuation to the already completed saga, originally created by George Lucas. Only this time, for episodes 7, 8, and 9, George wasn't involved.
Obviously, to
And
sell
you
them
sold
off
them.
I sold them to the white slavers that take these things and
Disney received George's script for episode 7, but instead decided to go their own route. But before this release of Disney's episode 7, they probably made the worst decision imaginable. Like I said before, Disney purchased Lucasfilm and managed to get casual viewers interested in Star Wars IP once again. But what I didn't mention is how they managed to alienate their core following. During the dark times, if you will, when there were no movies or anything on the big screen, the continuation of Star Wars was still in motion, and this continuation was brought to us through the books, comics, and video games dubbed as the Expanded Universe. And although the casual audience were not engaged in this content, the people who really cared about what George created digested all of this material as it was deemed canon. But once Disney bought Lucasfilm, everything changed. Although these neatly crafted, passionately made, well-connected storylines were all signed off by George and were loved by many, Kathleen Kennedy, the new head of Lucasfilm, decided to ignore what was initially known as canon and deemed all of these stories as legends. Unfortunately, nowadays we have massive creators like Star Wars Theory dubbing these old stories as non-canon, but I'd like to make it clear to all of you that even if Kathleen Kennedy dubbed the expanded universe as legends, it will forever be the true canon of Star Wars, simply because all of the books and comics were considered canon before Lucasfilm was sold. But this topic deserves a whole video on its own, so we won't be getting into that today. Today I'm going to discuss what I would have done if I was Kathleen Kennedy and show you the roadmap to how Disney Star Wars could have made billions for decades to come. Yes, the sequels were truly the beginning of the end, so essentially we need to start from the beginning, back when Disney acquired Lucasfilm. Because The Force Awakens came out in 2015, I will also list my first movie to be released in 2015. I'm assuming Kathleen Kennedy had to rush to get this film out due to deadlines and investors, so that's fine. But don't get me wrong, if it were up to me, the first movie would drop in 2018. Now, the first thing I would do if I were Kathleen is to not dub any of the current EU material as legends. Lots of people think having these EU books as non-canon makes sense, as it could spoil what's to come in the future, but that's just frankly untrue. There are tons of media out there that simply adapt source material, and it's considered peak fiction. For example, the MCU and every anime ever has gained tons of success by simply adapting what came before. And to the people that still disagree, why not adapt the stories that the creator signed off on instead of coming up with your own watered down version? These books were deemed the expanded universe, hence the name Expand. These books expanded on the movies we've had and made them better and honestly more mature. But enough rambling on why I would do this, let's now talk about my official Star Wars timeline. Our first announcement after purchasing Lucasfilm is that we're set to release 6 new movies, and no, we're not starting off with the Star Wars Episode 7, but instead we'll title it differently, making it known that George's Star Wars is complete and we're simply picking up the legacy George never got to put out on the big screen, which is why I titled the first movie Star Wars Legacy. Now, the name is not set in stone, but I know you guys got the idea. Star Wars Legacy is the first movie to the 6-part set of films, with the main characters being Jaina Solo, Jason Solo, and Ben Skywalker. If you're unaware of these names, these are the real children of Han, Luke, and Leia, and these 6 movies are essentially adapting the books Star Wars Legacy of the Force. For the sake of time, I won't be discussing how I'd fit this series into 6 movies or explain the story itself. There will be videos made later talking solely on Legacy of the Force, so make sure to subscribe to keep up with real Star Wars. But yes, Star Wars is about the next generation, so it's only fitting to have these characters as the core focus of my Star Wars legacy, especially since Kylo Ren is just a watered down version of Jason Solo, which again, more videos to come on that in the future. For the people who don't know anything about Legacy of the Force, it's basically about Jason Solo, hero to the Galactic Alliance, becoming Darth Pawz and turning parts of the Galactic Alliance against each other, pretty much causing a civil war. But yes, each movie will be released every other year, so for the next 12 years, we're getting very in-depth world-building Star Wars for the future generation, and since I'm Kathleen Kennedy, I'm showing our scripts to George to gain his feedback and include him in as much as he wants to be with our new series. To be honest, we might not listen to everything he has to say, but keep in mind, my Lucasfilm is filled with experts of the EU. Obviously, Disney's original plan was to drop episodes 7, 8, and 9 every other year and to drop solo projects in between, so in order to honor Disney's dealings with shareholders, we will do the same. Firstly, Star Wars Legacy will come out in 2015. In 2016, we will release Darth Bane, a movie about the origins of the Sith and the rule of 2, which expands on what exactly Jason is getting himself into by showing the viewers what Sith ultimately believe in. This would be a great movie for casual viewers as they most likely don't have much knowledge on what it means to be a Sith. And well timed as well, because at the end of Star Wars Legacy Part 1, Jason is tiptoeing around the idea of becoming the next Sith. So 2015, we got Legacy of Part 1, 2016, we got Darth Bane, 2017, we got Legacy Part 2, which further expands on the new Jedi Order, fall of Jason, affairs within the Galactic Alliance, and most importantly, the conflicts within the Skywalker and Solo family. 2018, we get Darth Sidious. This is essentially the continuation of Darth Bane, but viewing Bane isn't required in order to view 2018 Darth Sidious. This movie, to keep it short, is about Plagueis and a young Palpatine based off the book Darth Plagueis. Not much more needs to be said. I'm sure you can all imagine how good the movie would be with a competent team. 2019, we get Legacy Part 3, and this is where Jason has now chosen his path. Obviously more drama between the Skywalkers, Jedi Order, and Galactic Alliance. I'd love to expand on this, but I don't want this video to be like an hour long, so instead, we'll talk about the Legacy movies in depth in a separate video. But essentially, for people who read the books, Jason Solo has killed Mara Jade. I think this would be a great point to end off the first 3 films, solidifying the creation of Darth Pawz. 2020, we get the long-awaited film Darth Vader, which explores what it means to be trapped by Sith persuasion. Obviously, this movie would be a hit, and to keep it brief again, this movie would focus on Vader finding out if he can save Padme at all, while killing numerous Jedi on his quest to find answers. This movie is again great foreshadowing for Jason Solo's eventual manic events and shortcomings. A movie about Darth Pawz's grandfather is perfect before the 4th act of Legacy. It would hopefully pull in some people who were on the fence about the new Star Wars just before the movies where a Dark Lord is evident once again. 2021, we get Legacy Part 4. 2022, we get nothing. 2023, we get Legacy Part 5. And 2024, we got nothing. At 2025, we get the finale of Legacy, which is Part 6. Now, you may be wondering, why are there gap years with no movies in the theaters? And that's simply to refrain from diluting our content and to show our viewers that we are solely focused on Legacy after 2020's Darth Vader. These Darth movies were only made to foreshadow the eventual rise of Darth Pawz and to give more context on what it means when Jason Solo takes his path. Only 3 movies are necessary, and it helps prop up the current generation's story. But not to worry, with my Lucasfilm, we wouldn't give our viewers no content in those gap years. Because starting in 2016, we will release one show, and this show is titled Star Wars New Jedi Order. Now, although the New Jedi Order books will be adapted in later seasons, I do want this series to kick off 5 years after Return of the Jedi. So yes, technically, the first few seasons are Heir to the Empire, starring Luke and Thrawn. This TV show will have one season a year, about 15 45-minute episodes per season, and it would lead all the way up to the end of the Vong War in 2025. If you don't know about the Vong War, essentially, Jason was tortured and it played a huge part in shifting Jason's ideology. So again, this show is perfectly timed because not only do we get to see Jason's tragic backstory in the show, but also his demise in the movies the same year. Yes, obviously we can't fit in everything into the show, but not to worry because the books are all still canon. So if you want more on the show, the books are extended material. Again, the reason why I'm choosing to do one show is to not spread our audience thin on what they need to watch. I feel like Kathleen Kennedy's Lucasfilm has diluted the brand so much simply by releasing new 7-episode TV shows every 6 months. It's confusing, it lacks cohesion, and simply it's just uninspired. I want to have a team of creatives who could turn my Star Wars into the next Game of Thrones for years to come. I'm sure a lot of y'all can agree that my timeline works perfectly with each other. Every piece of content we create is connected to our current legacy movie series, whether it's the origin of the Sith with the Darth trilogy, or the origin of the Galactic Alliance with the New Jedi Order and Skywalker offspring. All these are made meticulously crafted to support and expand what's to come. Want to learn about how Jacen Solo became so twisted despite having a high role in the GA? Watch the later seasons of the TV show. Want to learn what it means to become a Sith? Watch the Darth movies. Want to learn how Mara and Luke found love? Watch the earlier seasons of the show. Want to learn about how the Galactic Alliance came to be? Watch the show. There's only one thing for people to watch instead of spreading our audience in multiple directions and giving them different interpretations of Star Wars from different directors. No, simply put, with my Lucasfilm, there's only a few directors we are working with, members of one show storyboard, our members in the movie storyboard, and so on. And lastly, I want to talk about the games and the future of Star Wars after Legacy Part 6. During this timeline from 2015 to 2025, I want there to be roughly 2 to 3 games. And first off, we got Battlefront 3, the complete Battlefront, its storyline receiving DLC every time we get a new movie. For an example, there will be a Centerport Station mission added to the game once that conflict is resolved within the movies, and so on. Darth Caedus isn't available to play until he becomes Darth Caedus in the movies, etc. I'm sure you know what I'm getting at. Next game is Star Wars Force Unleashed 3, and although many don't deem him canon, it really doesn't matter because Starkiller's story is so fun. Making Force Unleashed 3 is a no-brainer, even if it isn't considered canon. And the third game I would like is a fresh new game, a true open world experience where you can become Jedi, Rebel, Sith, Mando, and so on. Ideally created by a team like Rockstar Games, somewhat of a Star Wars GTA, if you will. Now for the final part of this video, I'd like to discuss the future of Star Wars after Legacy Part 6, and I'd have to keep it brief, but don't worry, I will make much more videos talking about this concept. But essentially, after the fall of Caedus in 2025, 2026, and 2027 will be gap years for Lucasfilm, simply to let our audience breathe and take in the beautiful experience what was the first decade of Disney Star Wars. 2028, we will come out with 2 new projects. First is our TV show titled Fate of the Jedi, based off the books. These books will be adapted into our new TV show almost 1-to-1 with maybe a few minor differences. For those who don't know this book series, it expands on Grandmaster Luke, his son after being trained by Jacen, and Abeloth, the woman who is connected to the Mortis gods. Now, because it's my Lucasfilm, I would have to dub the series as not entirely canon because of the direction I want to take the future. The writers of this book will be praised, paid, and given a seat to come work on the show if they would like. And the next movie will be the first installment of the Old Republic trilogy, diving deeper on the concepts of Jedi vs. Sith. And I know what you're thinking, don't we already know the conflict between the Jedi and Sith? And to that I would say not entirely, and because of this direction future Star Wars is headed, this will be the last time we see the Jedi vs. Sith. So yes, one last trilogy between the Jedi and Sith is needed. Yes, so one movie will be dropped every other year, so after 6 years the trilogy will be completed. In 2035 it will be the beginning of the end of Star Wars essentially. I know what you're thinking, why? Simply put, Star Wars shouldn't be constantly blasting out projects for eternity because 1, it will dilute the brand indefinitely, and 2, most of us will be old, especially the OT folks, but it's all good because all good things must come to an end, and I would make sure that the finale trilogy would be something we've never seen before. But essentially, our TV show Fate of the Jedi from 2028 to 2034 will explain the final collapse of the Jedi Order, unlike the book it's based off of. I wish I had more time to explain, but I don't. But essentially, Alana Solo, daughter of Jacen Solo, is aged up in this series to make her role in the new movies more prominent. The last 3 movies are titled Star Wars Fallen Order, and the first movie in 2035 takes place with Grandmaster Ben Skywalker and his Jedi that have been banished from Coruscant. They now reside on an Imperial planet as they had no other option when being banned from the Galactic Alliance. Why did they get banished? What happened to Luke? The 2028 show explains all of that, so don't worry. But because of Jaina Solo's husband, leader of the Imperial planet, they were given a place to stay hidden from the Galactic Alliance. Jaina Solo's relationship with her husband is explained in our Legacy series, but again, I'll keep it brief. Ben's Jedi Order are the last true Jedi in the galaxy. The temple in Coruscant has been taken over by Queen Jedi Alana Solo. Her queen status is explained in Legacy and Fate of the Jedi TV show. Alana has an agreement with the current Senate to fall directly under the Galactic Alliance command, which in turn perverts Alana Solo's Jedi into something entirely different. In fact, they don't call themselves Jedi at all, and instead Guardians. These Guardians are led by Alana Solo. They hold Jedi values and understand consequences of the dark side. These Guardians are light users, but use their powers to enforce selfish desires. Around the second act of this film, Alana sniffs out Ben Skywalker's Jedi and send her Guardians to destroy them. Alana and her Guardians come to the planet and manage to kill all of Ben's order, including himself. But there are 2 survivors, and that being Ben's wife Espada and his son Cade Skywalker, who is 16 at the time. Cade and Vistara witness Alana slaying Ben in front of them before fleeing on a ship, kinda like what happens to Ben Kenobi, only Ben Skywalker put up an actual fight and lost to Alana Solo. With now the Jedi Order seemingly extinct and replaced with a perversion of the Jedi known as the Guardians, Vistara and Cade are the last hope. Only something is off, and the twist is Alana herself is abusing power of the dark side, which is revealed when she defeats Ben, but only Vistara is able to figure this out, as she is also an ex-Sith member. Vistara's background is explained in the 2020 TV show and Fate of the Jedi books, by the way. Vistara tells Cade that because they are the last ones left, they need to find every advantage possible to defeat Alana and the Guardians, which leads to Vistara telling Cade that the only way they could possibly overpower Alana is by utilizing the dark side to the extent of becoming a Sith. By the end of the first movie, it's revealed that Alana is somehow communicating to Abeloth. Now yes, the script is very brief, but just imagine this. Cade Skywalker, the final Skywalker, is a dark side protagonist versus Alana Solo, the last Solo, who is the false Jedi antagonist. Cade has an Imperial fleet, but only himself and his mother are Force users on their side, while Alana has control of the Galactic Alliance while having a false order filled with Force using Guardians. Cade's only goal is to take down the false Jedi, all while Force Ghost Luke pops in and out, telling Cade that if he goes down the dark side forever, the cycle will repeat, which could create a lot of conflict within Cade and challenge what is truly good and evil. And then we have Alana seemingly being influenced by the Senate and the Force god known as Abeloth, not controlled, keep in mind just influenced. This concept will be fleshed out in the future, but essentially Alana thinks she is the true chosen one. Because of her relationship with her father, she doesn't particularly like the Jedi or the Sith, and because of her actions of ending the Jedi, she thinks she's the one bringing true balance to the Force. This concept expands on the viewer's confusion of the prophecy. If Darth Caedus existed, how did Anakin fulfill the prophecy? All these questions are discussed within these movies, and thanks to Abeloth's manipulation, Alana thinks she is the chosen one, essentially. Keep in mind, the EU books Fate of the Jedi do work and build up to this point, but unfortunately certain things will have to be tweaked once adapted into the 2028 show titled Fate of the Jedi. But I do truly believe this is a new creative spin for the finale of the franchise, so I will be making videos about this concept in the future. Overall, brothers and sisters, I hope you enjoyed my timeline of Star Wars. If you did enjoy, please like the video so more people can see, and tell me which part of this timeline is your favorite. Alright, bye.